going to try to help you out with the second homework assignment. The second homework assignment deals with inventory valuation and how you use it and the differences between the three methods. It focuses on the periodic inventory system, which we spoke about in class on Thursday. We'll talk about the perpetual inventory system on Monday. As you can see, we've improved the setup. I now have a webcam, wearing a hat because I'm having a particularly bad hair day. So problem 8-6 deals with a new company that begins operation in 2011. The first inventory that they purchased will start their operations on January 2nd. That's 5,000 units at $4 each, which gives us an extended cost of $20,000. You see we have two other purchases on February 16th, March 22nd. Problem gives you the units, the unit cost, and the total cost. They're nice enough to total up for you. So we have the total units that were purchased, 34,000, and a total cost of 159,000. As the quarter progressed, the company sold these units at $7 each. At the end of the period, they had 14,000 units on hand. At the end of the quarter, that 14,000 would be determined by counting them. The total sold here really doesn't come out of the periodic inventory system. To determine the number of units sold, we would take the number of units that we had available for sale, 34,000, subtract out the units that we counted, 14, our ending inventory, which meant we sell 20,000 units. The problem asks us to calculate three gross profits for FIFO, LIFO, and weighted average, and then to comment on the effect of these. And what we're looking to see is which method produces the highest gross profit, which produces the lowest gross profit, and which is the one in the middle. What I'd like you also to think about is what is the effect on the payment of tax. If each of these three methods produces a different gross profit, that means they're going to produce a different tax. So which one would be the most advantageous to reduce down your tax burden? Of course, to figure the gross profit, we need to calculate the sales, the information we reviewed before, and determine the cost of goods sold under each of these three methods. Since this is the periodic method, we are going to be doing this at the end of the quarter. So we have to calculate the value of the ending inventory, and based on the value of the ending inventory, we are going to determine the cost of goods sold. So in our problem, we know our beginning inventory was 0. We have our three purchases. They will equal our net purchases, and that's going to give us the cost of goods available for sale. We'll then count our ending inventory, and in practice, this will be in units. So we will count on merchandise. We see we have 14,000 units, which means we sold 20,000 units. We will then take the unit information and convert it into a value depending on the method that we're using, LIFO or FIFO. For weighted average, we'll take the number of units in the ending inventory, the 14,000, and multiply it by the average cost of the goods that were available for sale. When we determine our ending inventory, we subtract that from the goods available for sale, and that'll give us our cost of goods sold, which we'll use to determine the gross profit. So here's our spreadsheet from the portal. We have our purchase information in units and total cost, and we're going to put those into our box here. So let me begin by the first purchase of 5,000. It would have a unit cost of $4. And for the total cost, start using formulas. So we're going to say the total cost is the amount in cell B11 times the cost in cell C11, and that will give us our 20,000. The beauty of formulas, of course, is you can copy and paste them. We'll do that here, even though we haven't made the entries. As you complete this, this will automatically update your total cost. For our cost of goods available for sale, we're going to total up the units, and we're going to use the auto sum feature for that. So we're going to use all of these cells from our purchases. Click on auto sum again, and that'll give us our purchase. And we will do the same thing for the total cost. As you go now and you complete these other entries, the numbers will automatically be updated. Next, we move down. The first method we're going to use is Fifo, which says that the first units that we purchase will be the first units sold, meaning that the last units that we purchase will remain in ending inventory. So our cost of goods available for sale is going to be calculated in the chart above. This isn't the final answer. We next have to determine our ending inventory. And we know we have 14,000 units, and we're going to work backwards. Well, the March 22nd purchase had 17,000 units. So all of our ending inventory is going to come from the March 22nd purchase. The number of units that we have remaining is based on our count of 14,000. So we're going to put on 14,000. We would then use the unit cost that's associated with the purchase for the valuation, and then determine the total cost. So let's, for argument's sake, put a number in here. Let's say it came up to 15,000. Again, that's not the answer. So now we're going to put our ending inventory cost in our formula. We're going to show it as a negative number because we're going to be subtracting it. And now our cost of goods sold would be the sum of our goods available for sale minus our ending inventory. And we would calculate cost of goods sold at 5,000. For LIFO, we're going to have the same amount of goods available for sale. However, the ending inventory will not be from the last items purchased, but the first items. In LIFO, the last units purchased are the ones that are going to be sold. So the 20,000 units that are sold are going to be determined, the cost of goods, based on the last purchases. So the purchases of the 22nd, and some of the purchases from the 16th have been sold, which means we have all of the purchases from January 7th still in inventory, and some of the purchases from February 16th. So the purchases that were first made on January 7th and the purchases that were made next on February 16th, they will remain in inventory. You'll determine the number of units from the January 7th purchase, the number of units from the January 6th purchase. That will give us a total of 14,000 units. We would then put the per unit cost and then determine the total cost. And when we come up with the total cost here, let's just say it works out. Again, this is not correct, but we'll say it is 15,500. We would use that in our formula. To determine our cost of goods sold. For our cost of goods available for sale, again, the goods available for sale were given to us, the value, 159,000. We're going to need to determine the weighted average. And here you're going to do that by taking the number of goods available for sale. And again, these aren't the numbers from the problem. I'm just making these up. Say we had 1,000 units. That cost us $10,000. In that cell C51, we're going to put the average cost based on that formula. So the formula says equal, and that tells Excel it's a formula. You're going to put the number of units that are available for sale, divide that by the cost of the goods available for sale, and that will give us our average cost. If we had 14,000 units, that cost us 10 cents each. The ending inventory would be valued at $1,400. Next, we're going to determine the gross profit. And to do that, we are first going to determine the value of the sales. The problem gives us the sales information. We sold the units at $7 a piece. We know that we had 14,000 units left over. We started with 34, so we sold 20,000 units. So our sales would be 140,000. We're then going to take the cost of goods sold for each of our valuation methods and subtract them from that 140,000. And each of these methods, the sales number is the same. What's going to change is the cost of goods. So our formula for gross profit is going to be our sales minus the cost of goods sold. And again, I have this number in here which I made up. So our gross profit here would be the sales of 140,000 minus the cost of goods that you calculated from Fifo. The gross profit ratio is simply the gross profit divided by sales. And of course this number is not the correct answer, but you will use that same technique to come up with the ratio, and then in this block of cells here you will perform your analysis that we spoke about earlier. Alright, so good luck with the problem. It's not a particularly hard problem. You shouldn't struggle too much. Enjoy your weekend, and we will talk about this on Tuesday before the exam. If you have any questions on Monday, be sure to raise them. Take care.